Dreams came true for 257 players who heard their name called in the 2024 NFL Draft. 7 will join the black and gold and head to New Orleans to start their professional careers. Welcome into our Saints Draft Recap Show alongside Ross Jackson of Locked On Saints, the Saints News Network, and WWL. I'm Erin Summers. We are here to recap the Saints Draft happening over 3 days this weekend, and the media, you guys were here right in this room throughout the whole thing. How was it, Ross?
It was fantastic. I can see my chair from here, sat there all weekend. And of course, it's always great to be able to be here throughout the draft. And big thank you, of course, to the New Orleans Saints for hosting the media.
It was a very fun weekend, and it got interesting right off the bat when the Saints made their first call at 14 to Oregon State offensive tackle Talla Fuaga.
With the 14th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Taliese Fuaga, tackle, Oregon State.
Ross, Taliese Fuaga was a Senior Bowl attendee. He started the last 2 seasons at right tackle for Oregon State. Seemed like a really fun guy to talk to, and we were able to talk to him after he was picked. This seems like it was a perfect storm for the Saints. Need met best available. They got their offensive tackle and the best player that they had at that position. How good of a pick was this for the Saints?
Yeah, this is exactly what the New Orleans Saints needed. I mean, Fuaga is exactly what it is that they need. You've got some question marks on the offensive line right now with the future of Ryan Ramczyk kind of hanging in the balance at the moment, or at least there's question marks there. And so now you've got a guy that can come in and potentially plug and play and start there if Ramczyk's not ready to go. And then, look, the board just fell perfect for them. I mean, seeing 6 quarterbacks go in the top 12, that just opened up every opportunity. Even had every single defensive player on the board available to them at 14, as you mentioned, the first one not going off the board until a pick later. So it shows you just how much they really liked Taliese, because they picked him over every single defensive prospect in this year's draft.
Well, as I mentioned, he was really fun to talk to, so let's hear from the 14th overall pick now.
It was kind of surprising, I didn't expect it, but I'm glad the Saints picked me up, because I have a lot of family members that are fans, and this is just a blessing for me.
In round 2, the Saints traded up to 41, taking defensive back KoolAid McKinstry out of Alabama.
The Green Bay Packers have traded the 41st pick to the New Orleans Saints, and with the 41st pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select KoolAid McKinstry, DB, Alabama.
Ross, defensive back was a position that you thought the Saints might take in round 2. KoolAid McKinstry was such a fantastic player for Bama. How well is he going to fit this team?
He's a perfect match for this New Orleans Saints defensive scheme. Nick Saban's Alabama defense, they run a lot of press man coverage. That's what Dennis Allen loves to do with this New Orleans Saints defense as well. He came in to Alabama and immediately started as a freshman, became their #1 corner. And last year, you watched his targets dip in terms of opposing quarterbacks actually throwing at him from 80 all the way down to 39. They just simply wouldn't throw his way. That's the kind of lockdown corner you want in the NFL.
And he said that he was open to playing outside and inside if needed. He was also a specialist, returning punts. He was the #1 punt returner for Alabama. So that is something that he said he's open to doing as well. Well, let's hear from KoolAid.
I mean, we had a great talk at the Combine, so it's not very shocking. And based on the conversation that we had at the Combine, I could tell that they was very highly and very interested with me.
On day 3, the Saints actually stayed put. In round 5 with their first pick, 150 overall, they took quarterback Spencer Rattler from South Carolina at 170, wide receiver Bub Means out of Pittsburgh. Pick 175 was linebacker Jaylan Ford from Texas. Then in round 6, pick 199, defensive tackle Khristian from Northern Iowa. And in round 7, pick 239, offensive tackle Josiah Ezirim from Eastern Kentucky. Ross, going back to the first pick of the day in quarterback Spencer Rattler, he was somebody who was slated as maybe a 3rd round pick, and the Saints get him in round 5, going after value for that position. What did you like about it?
High upside. I mean, look, I think that when you're an NFL team, you should take as many swings in mid-rounds at quarterbacks as you can and as your draft capital will allow you. And because the Saints stood pat, didn't leverage any future capital, didn't leverage any capital this year, it gave them the opportunity to do that. Dennis Allen said that Spencer Rattler was a name that was staring them in the face for a while. And so it was a good decision, a sound decision. This is a good NFL choice by an NFL club.
Well, here's head coach Dennis Allen on that pick of Spencer Rattler.
I think just from an arm talent standpoint and the ability to make all the throws, I mean, he can make a ton of throws. He's got enough mobility in the pocket. Look, I think this is a guy that, has been through a lot of adversity, faced a lot of criticism, and he's come out on the other side. And I think that's a good quality to have as a quarterback. And so, look, he's got a skill set that we want to work with. I think he's an excellent thrower of the football. And so I think where we were in the draft at that point in time, look, this is a guy that, was considered by a lot of people a couple of years ago as a potential number one pick in the draft. So I think there's a lot of talent there, and that's somebody that we're, excited about working with.
Following the end of the draft, the Saints did go after 15 undrafted free agents, signing them. One of them right here from Tulane, their center, Sincere Haynesworth. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Ross, who stood out to you from this group?
Oh, I think it was tight end Dallin Holker coming in from Colorado State. I think the name Holker might be spelled differently than H-U-L-K, but it definitely fits the bill. 6'3", 234 pounds, had an electrifying game in that major game against Colorado last year. He's one of those tight ends that you can move around and play him in a bunch of different spots. I could really see Clint Kubiak and this New Orleans Saints offense getting really creative with him if he makes the cut.
A lot of people are talking about what a good signing that was by the Saints. Overall, the draft grades that I've seen have been so high.
Very positive.
And A+ in a lot of places that I've seen, so that's really fun. But here's head coach Dennis Allen on their overall draft.
Look, I feel really good about what we were able to do. I mean, again, like I said, we got a starting caliber offensive tackle, starting caliber corner, and then we got a really good, developmental quarterback in our first 3 picks. And I think we added some depth and some developmental players at the back end of the roster that have a chance to come in and compete for, like I said before, backup spots, roster positions, practice squad spots. So, yeah, I thought there were some good things that we did.
It was a really exciting Saints draft, very successful. Cannot wait for all the rookies to be right here at the facility for rookie minicamp, May 10th through 12th. As we start to see some of these players get in the building, Ross, any other positions where you think the Saints are looking to add depth?
Yeah, I could definitely see them still looking to address their offensive line, maybe adding some interior offensive line talent. Maybe there's the opportunity to reunite with former Saint Andres Pete, a guy that the coaching staff, new offensive coaching staff, has some familiarity with as well, are out there. So there's a lot of opportunity to continue to build up that offensive line and get things ready to protect Derek Carr in 2024.
It's going to be here really soon after minicamp for the rookies. OTAs start May 21st through June 5th, and then the veteran minicamp June 11th through 13th. So the season's pretty much right around the corner. It is going to get going very soon, and we'll have everything covered for you and tons more draft coverage on NewOrleansSaints.com. Ross, thank you so much for joining us again.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And thank you to all of you for tuning in for our Saints Draft Recap Show.